Hey guys, Mono here. Well, everyone's freaking out about this hyper-realistic looking game called Unrecord. It's being made by a French studio called Drama, and according to them, it's still in early stages of development. Needless to say, this looks absolutely amazing. I think what makes it look real beyond the graphics themselves are the absolutely insane animations. They don't look like your traditional first-person shooter at all. They are way more realistic in the sense that your camera seems to be disengaged from the rest of the body. Their website is calling this a free aiming system with authentic ADS and unrestricted hand movements. I wonder how this is going to feel to play, because it might all feel very floaty compared to basically every other shooter where your gun's position on the screen is mostly fixed. There's just minimal movement for it to, sway and all and look a bit more realistic and not just printed on the screen. But yeah, I wonder how this is going to feel to actually play. This is a single-player game featuring a thriller or detective-like story, as they've described it, complete with dialogue choices, which I think is extremely interesting to see that in a first-person shooter of this nature. And those might even occur during combat, according to the website. We've seen some of that on the trailer itself, and it looks to be very well integrated into the UI, which is obviously very minimal, and it's not this pause or anything. It does occur while you're actually playing, which I think is an incredible idea and very interesting. Now, of course, this game is reminding people of some awful body cam footage that we've seen over the past few years. As body cams get more prevalent and mandatory in police forces, we're seeing the ugly side of police forces and the often unfortunate, illegal, and unsanctioned use of violence by police officer. Obviously, an incredibly realistic looking game mimicking that look of the body cam is going to generate some controversy. People are saying it's too realistic, wondering if it's just an elaborate hoax and not a game at all, and so on, as well as, raising concerns about the way this looks, basically. So I figured I would give you guys my take on this. First of all, if you take a look very closely to the footage, you can clearly see it is a game. You can tell by some of the assets like the barrels, the white van, and some other telltale signs. They've actually addressed this on an FAQ. They are basically saying like this is such a huge and such an eye-catching thing that, it cannot be a hoax, because otherwise it would be too big of a hoax, which I don't know. I don't really understand the logic behind that, but whatever. It is a game, apparently. Second, I think the outrage and controversy this game might encounter isn't really merited. This might in itself be a controversial take on this, but I don't live in America, and neither does most of the world. So watching this without that perspective of the political issues and the issues with police forces that are going on in America, I have absolutely no problem with this game. The studio developing the game also happens to be French. They've issued an FAQ responding to some questions and concerns regarding this, where they respond to them being pro-police or anti-police. And they say, as a French studio addressing a global audience, the game does not engage in any foreign policy and is not inspired by any real-life events. The game will obviously avoid any undesirable topics such as discrimination, racism, violence against women and minorities. The game will have no biased or Manichaean, which I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, Manichaean take on criminal acts and police violence. Manichaean, as far as I understand it, is when, you paint something as patently bad and something as patently good. We also respect and understand people who may feel disturbed by the game's images. Art cannot fight against interpretation, which is a wonderful line. Justifying the undisclosed content of the game would be a spoiler, and you will discover the direction of the themes for yourself. The public generally trusts film, series, and novel writers on the intelligence of the point of view when it comes to detective, gangster, or police stories. Why not for a video game? If the game presents political messages, they will be made consciously or in your interpretation. If the game aims to be subversive in certain countries, we will assume that label, which I think is a fantastic response. I think they nailed it in the head. It's a game. Movies get to look realistic all the time, and pull off imagery that is way more fucked up and disturbing than anything shown here, and they've done so for years. And they've also faced, you know, certain calls for censorship and so on, which thankfully haven't been very successful. It's human nature to play out, to act out both the good and bad sides of our society. So to get upset about this is to get upset at our very nature, which is, of course, absurd. There's no release date yet for this game because it's still in early stages of development. The plan is to release it on PC, and they haven't decided yet if they're gonna target any consoles or not. So that's it. I'm also blown away, like everyone else, at how good this game looks. This is being made in Unreal Engine 5. They seem to have been working on this for a year. So yeah, it's a crazy time we live in where footage like this, you can look at it and, you know, not immediately notice that it's a video game, and even after some careful viewing. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. As always, guys, thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.